Hello everyone and welcome back to Movie Monday here on Questrified. My name is Serafina and today I'm joined with Bray as we review the movie The Purge Election Year. So let's get right into it. This film starts with a family getting brutalized by a purger. He makes the mother choose who will survive that night as he's only allowing one to live. Okay, listen. There is a reason that we have a society that has rules and expectations. If not, those within that society can simply devolve into savages. It is amazing that James DeMonaco has that happen in just one night a year, but here we are. Speaking of James DeMonaco, he is the writer and director once again, and he has brought his tried and true producers Blumhouse and Platinum Dunes. This film was released in 2016. 2015 we had no Purge movie.
This is the film that starts up the gap year process that they start doing.
This story takes place 18 years after the opening, and we are getting prepared for another annual purge. The purge has been going for 25 years, and dare I say, but rational people are beginning to condemn it. They realize that they are getting played by the new founding fathers. So our main characters are the one who survived that night 18 years ago, Senator Charlie Roan, played by Elizabeth Mitchell, and her security, returning champion Leo Barnes, played once again by Frank Grillo. Don't get too excited, as they have really nerfed Leo's character here. They kind of dumb everyone down. It is election year, and Senator Roan is running for president on an anti-purge platform. Protests are in full bloom 2 days before the purge. This is going to be shocking, but it turns out that the purge only benefits the NFFA, and the sole purpose of it is to increase their wealth.
It's obvious, and it was kind of established pretty easily through the fact that how the rich are so well off in this entire universe.
Another returning champion is the Bloody Stranger from the first two movies, and he is actually given a name in this one.
This is something that really doesn't add anything, due in part that it's not something massive, and nor does he ever mention anything from the previous two movies for some reason.
His name is Dante Bishop, and he's once again played by Edwin Hodge. He has kind of taken over the Carmelo Johns role from the last movie, as Carmelo is nowhere to be found. Just another mystery that the Purge universe has bestowed upon us.
Which is another weird mystery that's never going to be explained to what happened at the end of Anarchy.
Roan does have the regular people's support as the Purge becomes more and more unpopular. The NFFA is angry. Her opponent, a Purge purist, is a minister named Edwidge Owens, played by Kyle Secor. Because of her stance on the Purge, the NFFA has put a target on her back, and to get rid of her, they do something sneaky. And in all other purges, there were rules that government officials had immunity and could not be hunted, but on this purge night that is cancelled. Now everyone is fair game.
They decided to change the purge rules, which is an odd thing to do because what if everyone didn't like the NFFA heavily at that time, which they're establishing no one likes the purge, so in turn they wouldn't like the NFFA, meaning they would have easily just went after them and killed them. This could have all backfired on them pretty easily.
Leo should have seen this as a clear sign that a hit was coming on Purge Night, and to trust no one. Leo is different in this movie. The man who took out his wealthy kidnappers in the last movie did not transfer onto this one. They ruined this character. Joe Dixon, played by Michael T. Williamson, is the small side character who will serve a purpose to help out the main characters. Joe is a store owner whose Purge insurance has just gone up the day of the Purge, and he cannot afford it. That is a shame, because he has gone and gotten himself targeted for the Purge by a hateful little school brat who gets caught stealing a candy bar. Lainey, played by Betty Gabriel, is a former badass, and she makes the little brat put it back. However, the candy girl will be back on Purge Night to get her candy bar. This is the worst character in the Purge universe. You hate her so much.
And also, this character is a very cringy person. Like, as when we get to see her on Purge Night, she's like overacting or something with what she does.
So much happens just over a candy bar. Think about that.
And yeah, she really wants that candy bar. Like, it's going to end the world if she doesn't get it.
I hate this movie so much. So Joe is going to guard his store over Purge Night because he no longer has insurance. His employee, Marcos, played by Joseph Julian Scora, comes to help out. Lainey rides along in an ambulance, pimped out to keep her safe during the Purge. They go around and give first aid to those hurt during Purge Night. And we come across our second unwritten rule. No one messes with the ambulance on Purge Night. Leo hooks Rowan up with a safe room, but you know how this goes. Someone will try to kill them, and they will be on the mean and unforgiving streets of Washington, D.C. with the weird purgers. There's one more aspect about this movie, and that is foreigners are now coming to America for the Purge and killing the citizens. citizens. Thank you, James DeMonaco. Thanks so much. Lainey is out and seeing the worst that the Purge has to offer.
They have a guillotine in the alleyway, and it ain't small. Thing goes up pretty high up the walls in the alleyway. Don't know why. I think it was just for like, oh, look at this, but then he didn't think about the logic of that happening.
The Purge begins, and the killing commences. Joe is guarding his door when the high school brat shows up. Cringy dialogue is had, and she wants a candy bar and to kill Joe because he kept it from her. Marco shoots her in the ear and she retreats, but she isn't finished. Of course, Leo is betrayed, and he is once again forced out onto the streets of DC with his charge Roan. Wow, it's like I knew that was coming. Freaky Purgers are out, and this movie tries to provoke fear out of you, but relies on random craziness and jump scares.
I think that's always been a thing this series has had to rely on, because you can't really make people wearing a bunch of masks scary. That's why the slasher subgenre isn't scary a lot of the time. They have to rely on jump scares for that.
The jump scares become repetitive. From now on in this movie, it is going to be Leo and Roan going from place to place, trying to survive, and each time encountering something deemed horrifying. When foreigners try to purge Leo and Roan, Joe gets involved and saves the pair. A new squad has been formed. Leo, Roan, Joe, Marcos, and Lainey. For it's a neo-Nazi type guy leading the team out to get Roan. This man is no big daddy, but he does have his philosophy written on his face. During the first escape, Leo was shot with a tracer bullet, but he does not know that yet. It takes many times of them finding him for him to realize it.
Earlier in the film, he gets shot and they don't know it, and even the Nazi people don't know it. And it's not till later on that they start to figure it out, once they were caught in some place that they shouldn't have been caught in. It would have been not too easy. But also, that's an odd thing. I understand, yes, you have like neo-Nazis nowadays and stuff, but it feels odd just having like Nazis be your central antagonist. What is this, an Indiana Jones film or something?
High school brat returns with more people to take out Joe. He calls Lainey but can only leave her a message. He's under siege. They have chainsaws and are going to get into the store. That girl really wants that candy bar. There's more cringy dialogue. Oh, this movie, I just cannot. It's bad. Lainey does show up and runs down a little brat. Lainey saves the squad from the high schoolers. She takes him to an underground triage sanctuary that is supposed to be secure. Dante Bishop is at this safe space, but on this night, he's got plans. Leo and Roan do discover what Dante is planning, and that is to kill Roan's opponent, the minister. They try to talk this group out of it, but they believe they're doing what's best for Roan, which will give her the opportunity to snag the White House. The squad decides to go and try to save the minister and stop Dante. A look at more crazy purgers and jump scares on their way to the ministry. The squad are in a car crash. The car crash is caused by the neo-Nazis when Roan is snatched. They have taken her to the ministry to be purged by the NFFA. This is the climax of the movie. Raymond Barry plays the president or leader. I don't know. The movie does not tell us. He shows up to purge Roan, but I bet he wished he still had immunity because Marcos kills him. A generic shootout ensues.
The Harmon James is in this shootout, who is this like dead corpse man, I think, and they never explain why he looks the way he does, but I think he's gay for the whole minister, because after he purges on this like drug addict guy who's trying to recover and gets killed, the minister grabs his face and he kind of looks like he leans in for the kiss, except the minister turns away last minute. None of that happens, but Harmon James grabs apparently a shotgun, and I don't know what other gun he picks up, but he just walks out of the scene, and Dante then proceeds to kill off all the other NFFA backup that came to attack the whole squad. And once they have untied Roan, they find out that they have captured the minister, and Dante's going to proceed to go and kill him. And when they go down there, Roan is kind of just heavily trying to convince him, don't do it, because he'll become a martyr. Even though I think everyone hates this guy, so if he got murdered, yeah, you're gonna have those like NFFA like supporters, but by the sounds of how this movie sets it up, most of the country is against the Purge, including the NFFA. In the end, Dante Bishop decides not to, and they proceed to find a room filled with other potential victims on that Purge night by the whole new founding fathers. When they start saving them, one of those guys runs out and gets killed by Harmon James, who proceeds to go into a shootout with Joe and Lainey and stuff, pretty much the whole squad. And Harmon James is killed, but he does mortally wound Joe, and Joe does die.
After Joe imparts his final words, it fast forwards to Election Day. You find out Roan has won the race, and she sets up an executive order to end the Purge. In the news, protests for the Purge break out, and this kind of sets us up for the Forever Purge, but not before we get to see the first Purge,
which was a prequel that breaks the continuity of the series up to this point by establishing that the first Purge happened in 2018, even though the original Purge had footage from 2017. That's a little odd how they screwed up their own timeline.
And that is next week's movie. The climax to this movie, Election Year, was messy and poorly written. There's too much happening. It's hard to follow.
It's not a very good film. Like, when you think that the Purge is going to get better, it just doesn't for some reason. It's been on a very just constant worse. One bad film after the next.
Marcos takes over Joe's shop, and you're left on a ho-hum kind of feeling. I hated this movie. It's been the worst in the franchise thus far. That is it for us this week. We will see you next week, and all sarcasm aside, the first Purge is the best movie in the franchise. So there's that. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.